I had a question that kind of followed up on part of the topic of depression. How much do you think, or do you think, the disconnection that we have with our authentic selves or who we truly are, and the disconnection that we have with play contributes to depression or anxiety?
Okay. So what does it mean to depress something?
Deflate.
Push it down. Mm-hmm. That's what depression is. Mm-hmm. It's genetic disease. No, it isn't. Now, what gets pushed down in depression?
You.
Emotions. Mm-hmm. Particularly anger, actually. But the problem is, once you start pushing down emotions, you don't get to choose what you push down. Now, why would a kid push down their emotions? I've already talked about it. When the environment isn't ready to receive those emotions, let alone when it punishes it, but just if they don't receive it. So the child, in order to belong to the attachment, pushes down their emotions. Now they lose connection with themselves. That's what depression is. Anxiety. We have circuits in our brain for fear. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's good.
It's an essential thing. No creature in nature would survive without fear. But lack of safety isn't just the absence of a threat. Safety is also the presence of connection. So when an infant is left by themselves, they're going to be afraid. And they should be. Then they start crying. And that should bring the parents running. By the way, indigenous people, they never even put their kids down. They just don't. They carry them everywhere. In our society, parents are told to put the kid down and don't pick them up. It's a laboratory for raising anxious people. It's not to pick up their babies. Sleep train them. Don't pick them up. Well, that natural fear then becomes chronic. Now you got anxiety. Nothing wrong with the fear, but if the fear is not responded to, it becomes anxiety. So both anxiety and depression have their sources in very simple dynamics, I think. But then, of course, they become overwhelming states that make life so difficult for people. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And anything about the disconnection with play and losing
that?
that?
And they're both disconnections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you define self-actualization.
Yeah.
What's your definition of that word?
Well, being in touch with the true self and being able to manifest that in the world, in my actions and in my reactions and in my relationships.
Hi, I had to speak because I actually work in addiction treatment.
Yeah.
And so you're one of the people that I reference a lot when I do my group therapy with people. And just one of the biggest things I'll share with them is that what you say is not why the addiction, but why the pain.
Yeah.
So that's something that we talk about a lot in groups. But the one thing I wanted to ask you is this something I notice with every person is just the biggest difference between someone getting better or someone growing out of that trauma cycle. It seems to be like an open-mindedness. Like when I'm talking to someone, I can tell if I'm talking to the part of them that's preserving the way that they already see the world, versus when I'm talking to someone who has completely open mind, open slate.
Yeah.
So I was curious because also some people diagnose people who aren't open-minded with certain personality disorders, or they might say they're borderline or they're whatever it might be. So I'm curious, what allows a person to be open-minded versus another?
Well, what's your name?
Nikki.
Nikki. You counsel these people?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm going to ask you is this. When you're working with one of these people that you perceive as not open-minded, what happens for you?
It's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
I think I notice it. Do you know? So I
You-
take note of it.
Okay, what happens for you?
What happens for me?
Sorry? How do you feel?
I think I get a little frustrated.
You get frustrated. Okay. No.
It's a good point, you guys. It's a good point.
No. If I was in this dialogue with you, but I got frustrated, would you sense that?
Yep.
How would you feel if
Probably shut down.
you'd shut down? Whose mind is not open?
Shit.
Okay.
I feel like I just got jujitsu flipped.
So now this is not to make you wrong naturally. It's just to make you aware of something.
No, you're hitting something.
And let me ask you this question: when was the first time in your life when it was frustrating for you that somebody important just didn't get it? Yeah? This is where it comes from. It's got nothing to do with that client. The client is just triggering something in you. So you work on that. Believe me, you'll meet many more open-minded people all of a sudden.
Wow, I'm going to drop
Okay?
my microphone. I don't know.
Bars.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was so good.
I'm going to go sit in a corner and think.
Wonderful. Yeah, we have time for a few more. Ben in the corner, way back.
By the way, let me just mention something. Again, self-serving. Larry, would you stand up for a minute? Yeah, this is my friend Larry Heller. Larry, what's the modality of the therapy that you teach?
A neuroaffective relational model, and
Okay.
we call it it's NARM.
So Larry and I would, so Larry teaches NARM. I teach what's called compassionate inquiry. And both our approaches involve, it's for therapists, it's for counselors, physicians, whoever. The biggest work is the work that we do on ourselves. That's why I went to you. I didn't go to what do you do with the open, it's about you. Larry, would you want to say anything about that? How it's about the therapist, it's not just about the client.
One of the things that you talked about is the importance of the parent being attuned to the child's internal world and not just focusing on their behaviors. Well, that's the important thing in therapy too, is not just focusing on cognitions and behaviors, for example, but really being able to focus on and attune to that client's inner world. And the only way we can do that if we're also in connection with our own internal world.
Yeah.
So it's that meeting on that level that is so significant.
Yeah. Thank you. Well
Thank
said.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.